Well, it's been full steam ahead over here at Exodium HQ, so to speak, with getting prepared for MARCHintosh coming up and such. And this is one of the projects that was going to be a part of MARCHintosh for me. And there's a reason it's called a MARCHintosh failure, because unfortunately, this machine I had some high hopes for, and it still probably works. But the problem is, I'll just get into the story of how I got it, and we'll approach the problems when I come to them. So this machine was a recycling rescue. Somebody from the Tinker Different Discord actually got in touch with me and Ryan and gave us access to a recycler that had a bunch of vintage Macintosh stuff that had been thrown away. And we got some other things too, but mostly we were there for vintage Macs. And I walked away with a few things. One of them being this very computer you see here, which is a Power Mac 6500 slash 250. So this is actually the mid-tier model of this particular model, even though this form factor came in multiple models. Like, I believe the 6400, the Performa, a couple of Performas came in this. I don't remember off the top of my head. And these Macs are kind of neat, and personally, I never owned one because usually when I tried to pick up a Mac or pick up any vintage machine, it's because I either owned one when I was younger or they have a very clear role that they can serve, which is the Power Mac G3 beige that I have. I never owned one. I thought they were pretty cool, but I've never owned one. But they're really good bridge machines, and I that's why I wanted the one I got from Ron. But this machine was one I've never actually really seen in the flesh too many times. I actually had the manual for one of these and I read it because I was fascinated with this stuff when I was younger. So seeing one in the flesh in a recycler was like, oh, you know what? I might as well just grab it. I mean, it's just sitting there and it looks pretty cool. And so I did. And it came home with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be shooting this video right now. And what's odd is this is kind of when Apple was in a transitional period with SCSI, because we have a SCSI bay up here with nothing in it, but you could put a zip drive up there. We have a SCSI CD-ROM drive, and the hard drive is IDE, which thankfully it's actually really good because IDE hard drives are much easier to find and they're much faster. Because trying to use a blue SCSI on some of these newer machines is not a very good idea because the blue SCSI is great, and the one I use for some of these machines right here, I love this thing. It's very useful, but the transfer rates are not very good. So if you're looking at like a machine with ATA or parallel ATA, you're not going to want to use a blue SCSI. You're going to either want to use an actual parallel ATA hard drive or an ATA to SATA bridge and use an SSD or something. The blue SCSI is magic, don't get me wrong, but for a machine like this, probably not the best idea to use it. My DB25 for this case was just being used as a glorified USB drive, but so we have an IDE hard drive and it was kind of going bad. I backed up this system fully because it still had all the original stuff on it, the original build of macOS. There's probably some personal information on there somewhere. I always saw this Mac from afar, and it's actually pretty neat of a computer, just the way it's arranged, because normally on most computers, the CD drive is going to be up top. You're going to have an extra bay like in the middle, and then your floppy drive. Now this one just puts that bay up top, and I guess you put whatever you want up there, but mostly you put zip drives up there. It's got an all plastic build. Well, not all plastic, but there is metal under here. But the outside is all like just covered in plastic. This plastic does not seem to be very brittle, at least in my experience. It has a little bit of give to it, which is very, very nice because getting this front panel off takes a minor act of violence. But yeah, this machine has a very unique little feature, and if we turn it around, we'll be able to see that feature, kind of. Turn around back, you can already see a kind of unique thing, and that the motherboard actually sits on a tray and just slides out. These tabs, however, are threatening to just break all the way off. So I have a special little way I get this thing out despite that. I do not have the screws currently installed because I've been in and out of this machine trying to get it to work. The little unique feature I was talking about is actually up here. This little thing right here. This controls the subwoofer. Yes, you heard that right. There is a subwoofer in this machine. It actually can be a full range speaker when there's nothing plugged in to the audio output. However, when you plug in any external speakers, this machine's speaker system turns into a subwoofer. And you might think, well, it's old 90s crap, it's not going to sound good, but oh, you are so wrong. I was impressed because I have a pretty full range audio setup here, 5.1 surround, and I have two very bassy speakers at the front to kind of make up the low end, and it works really well, even though it's a pile of hacks. And I've hooked this thing up, and I let some Enya blast on it, and oh my god, it actually sounds really good. I was very impressed with the audio quality just coming out of this thing. The speakers on their own, when it's trying to be full range, are also very, very good. Like, I was very impressed with it. We go up here and we see the video port is weirdly all the way up here. I'm not sure why it's not down here, but whatever, I guess. We have the ADB port, we have the printer port, we have the modem port, which is blocked off because we actually have a modem in our COM slot down there. DB25 SCSI and the audio in and out. And then this is a punch out for some expansion of some sort. Same here. I believe this is for the add-in, the composite in and out functionality would go right here. You may see a blank slot here that is open, and that's actually because I tried to install one of these in here, which is a USB card, because this is actually using the Opti Firelink. If you look at it there, the 82C861. And those were known to be compatible with classic Mac OS. In fact, it actually works on the Beige G3 perfectly fine. I wanted to put that in here, though, because, as you can no doubt tell, this machine has no way to get on a network right now. There's no Ethernet port, because it would be in the COM slot. And there's not even an AAUI port, so I can hook up a dongle to this thing like I could with other Macs of the time. So, very unfortunate that that's kind of the way it is. So I wanted to give this machine a way to kind of reach out to the outside world, and USB would be exactly that. Now, that's also why I was using this as the glorified USB drive here, because, you know, all I can do is just connect this right here, and boom, bump the tripod, but there you go. Now we have a little thing, we can pull the SD card right out here and just connect that to a more modern machine. But this is clunky because you have to power down the machine every time you want to disconnect this. Whereas with USB, you don't. It's hot pluggable. So let's go ahead and show you how I get this drawer out when I actually can't get a grip on the tabs. You will need a cable that is not exactly readily available, at least I don't think it is. One of these DB25 cables. And what I like to do is just get it right in here. And these ports are very well fortified. The hex nuts are actually tapping directly into the metal structure of the back of this supposed back plane here. So I like to connect this and just give it a nice little tug, and out it comes. And here's the inside. Now, this looked a lot worse, but it's still booted. This was caked in smoker junk, but I did give this a cleaning and gave it a repasting, and it came out pretty well. This also has 32 megabytes of very awful RAM. This is 5-volt EDO buffered 168-pin RAM. If we pull it out here, you might think, well, that looks like PC 100, except it isn't. This is a very special RAM, and it's actually fairly hard to find. I got lucky and found some on eBay. Go figure. I went and bought it, and then the machine died. We'll get to that in a minute. I keep saying we will, but yeah. Also, hey, Apple had these weird RAM slots first, where only one end has the latch. Just going to quickly bring that down. But what was also nice about this machine is it ships with the cache card, so I don't have to worry about adding cache to this machine because it has it. But we can also see a hack job here, putting the battery into, well, this is supposed to be a 4.5 volt battery, and I actually found, well, I didn't find, Darth Beagle actually pointed out that he uses CR2032s in these types of machines, and they work perfectly fine. And I can verify that it worked perfectly fine with the Power Mac 4400. So I did it to this machine, and sadly, that's when disaster struck. So let's get on to that while I put this thing back in the machine. This machine has been working perfectly fine ever since I got it. It was a bit dusty, sure, but it was still getting good airflow, and I mean, besides some dust in the vents, I mean, it looked pretty good. Gave it a wipe down, cleaned up really well, and after testing the audio system, I really wanted this machine to work. I'm gonna try and do this completely blind here, but I really wanted this system to work, and it looked like it was gonna be a very worthy investment. So I went online, and actually with the help of a person in the Tinker Different Discord, found RAM for it. I ordered that, and then I started experimenting with this, and I put the USB card in, put it all back together, and dead as a doornail. It will not boot, it will not do anything. I'm gonna go ahead and put power to this, and because we're recording, it's going to run. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this into a known good outlet over on my desk, and we'll see what it does. I did verify that the switch is actually set correctly. There we go. And yeah, hitting the power does nothing. So this thing is, unfortunately, as dead as a doornail, and I think, at least according to reports online, that the problem is the power supply. I do not think it is the logic board. I don't think it's anything I personally did to the machine, but given, it's just weird, and this is kind of why you have to be tolerant with retro things, because it worked for a minute, then it gave up. So this machine is getting shelved for now. I do want to open it up and get the power supply out and see if it's something I can save, or if I have to figure out how to ATX mod this thing, because again, it's a really good machine. I really love this machine, even though it's a 603 based machine, but it's very unfortunate what happened, and I'm very sad about it, because my plan was to load SoundJam MP onto this thing and just let her rip on my audio system. But unfortunately, as I was gearing up to do that, the machine just gave up and died. Can't win them all sometimes, but that's why this is a MARCHintosh fail. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you didn't cry any tears of sadness along with me. But I do have other projects I plan to put together for MARCHintosh. So this small setback, but it's not going to completely devastate me as far as content production goes. So, till next time, probably till MARCHintosh itself, I'll see you guys later.